Leg curls. We did seated leg curls. Another movement I thought was pretty intense. I don't normally do those on my own. Charles introduced those to me today. Again, I trust his wisdom on that. And man, I tell you what, if my hamstrings could have got off the bone and went and just hung out in the front of the gym, that's what could have happened, because it was very intense, man. I was almost more than overwhelmed. I believe that is almost a compound set, man. I really do. Between the leg curls and the walking lunges, that was good night, Irene. Especially, the way I try to do my lunges, I really try to concentrate on contracting my glutes, contracting my hamstrings when going down in the bucket, and even down there, thinking about, doing the pose of a radial bicep with an exaggerated lunge. I remember looking at some old footage of Ed Corney doing a series of muscle flexing poses back in the 70s, and they were accompanied by some other photos of Frank Zane doing some similar shots. And one thing that I noticed about both of those photos was that the foot position that both athletes took in a lot of the shots was a variation of a lunge. They, seemed like, for whatever reason, neither of the two athlete legends in question were, afraid to really step their feet very, very, very far apart in an effort to create, the drama in the pose that I recall seeing. Taking that, having said that, when I think about a radial bicep shot, I don't know if you ever seen like Silvio Samuel on stage from the rear, doing his radial bicep shot, but man, technically that is what it is. It is a lunge, and thinking about, this kind of stuff is really where I think your mind needs to be when doing that movement. So that's where my mind is, even though you're going in a forward direction and you're probably, in order for you to keep the movement out of your quads, because that's not what Charles wanted me to do at that point. He wasn't trying to get me to work my quads. He was trying to get me to keep the intensity on my hamstrings, hamstrings and glutes, hence that's why you're doing the seated leg curl, so while doing this lunge, your mind has to be placed in your hamstrings and your glutes, and in order to do that effectively, you have to be able to flex them. So you need a very sharp mind to muscle connection. So at that point, what I'm doing is I'm building on work that's already been done, anyway. But we got some lunges done for you. I know they're not the traditional Ronnie Coleman lunges we've seen with like 315 pounds on the bar across my back, looking like Christ, being led through the streets, on his way to Calvary. But, I assure you, on another day, under another sun, I will show you something very impressive with my walking lunges. Today, though, the fact that I had no weight, no bar, no very heavy cross to bear, visibly, that you could see, does not mean, though, that these things were not nearly as intense as they were, because they were. They were very, very, very intense. And I assure you, if you do this movement, in the same sequence that you saw us demonstrate today, while tensing and flexing your hamstring, not like the amateur person that doesn't know, but I mean with the person that has a sound presence of mind, to be with really sharp mind and muscle connections between their mind and their glutes and their hamstrings, you will surely see that is more than, body weight is more than enough to make that movement intense. More than enough. So, you know, the next time you think about seeing a DVD where you see Ronnie Coleman walking down the block doing lunges, you know, with 225 pounds on the bar, you know, believe me, you'll have a new found respect for what the hell that man is doing. Let's go.